Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Thanks for being here. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the chat. Kimmer, I see you were here and then you had to take off. Thanks for popping in. Ginger, hi. Yes, it is a glorious Monday. It is absolutely beautiful here. That's for sure. We're having I don't know if we're into fall yet. I meant to check and see when the first day of fall is. But if we are, then I guess we're having a little bit of an Indian summer. In my opinion, D's and J's response is very odd and peculiar in regards to the cadaver dogs. I agree 100%. We're going to touch on that a little bit for sure. I think we'll start off with that actually. Hi, Mark. Thanks for being here. Thanks to all the mods for being here. Yeah, like, sub, and share. Thank you. Hi, Sue. That is so cute. The Jack liked his bugs, of course. So there's a little bug. And for Lily, Lily the unicorn, so cute. Hi, Rudy. Haven't seen you in a while. Hello. Johnny, hi. Thanks for coming back. Belynda, hi. Thanks for coming back. No, I am from Pictou County. I am actually from where the babies went missing. 2 precious babies, Lily and Jack. Yep. My nickname for my grandson is Honey Bunny. So when I always look at them, I think 2 little honey bunnies. So cute. My God, they're cute kids. Hi, Canada. Hi. Thanks for being here. If my sound sounds funny at all, guys, don't hesitate and let me know because I do have a new sound system here. Crystal, hi. Thanks for being here. And you're using the it's funny on the computer, the members words, whatever you call them, emojis that you get to use. It doesn't show up on my computer. I can see it says how are you, but I know it's the actual emoji. But when I look on my phone, it'll show it. Daniel is either innocent or incredibly bold and on smart question. with the statements he makes. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yesterday was the first day fall. Okay, I figured it was either just past or right around the corner. Thanks, Kent. I figured you would know something like that. You're always on top of it. Today at 3:19 p.m. Hi, Root Strength. Thanks for being here. Today is the first day of fall. And Kent is saying yesterday was. So it's one or the other. Hi, Novah and everyone. Hi, Randy. Mary, thanks for being here. Happy first day of fall. It must be, I think the votes are in, Kent, and you might be one day off. You were right, Kent. You. Okay. Yesterday or today? What's it matter? Let's just call it fall. Yep, Pictou County. So is Kent, actually, in the chat there. Kent's from Pictou County as well. Yeah, it's pretty warm here right now. Let me check and see what the temperature is. I had to open the window, so if you guys can hear any background noise, that's probably why, but I was surprised how warm it was upstairs. See what the weather is here. 21, but honestly, it feels warm. It's the sun, though. We get a lot of heat with the sun, free heat, when it's sunny like this. Like I wouldn't, even if it was chilly out today and we had the sun, I would not have to put the heat on. Okay, thanks. Good. That's good to know. Hi, Ariel. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming back. First day of fall. Oh, at 3:19. I gotcha. Yeah. Hope the dogs get out today. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be kind of nice. I don't think we'll ever know when. Yeah. Yeah, give or take a day or fall. 21st day of fall. Yeah. Manitoba's 21 there too. Oh, wow. Cool. I just checked on the 22nd of September and it is the first day of fall. Cool. Cool. All right, let's get into this. So we have the video that was put out. I know, Kent, you saw it, and anybody else that was probably in Sunny's chat. Oh my God, my memory. I can't remember if it was yesterday or this morning or the day before yesterday. I'm sorry, but Sunny covered it, but it is Charmaine. We're going to take a look at from Charmaine's site, and I'm going to paste her. This is Charmaine's from, if you guys watch It's a Crime and Shame, you would be familiar with Charmaine, whether you are or not. She started her new channel on YouTube. Now she's not new, but I think she was on. I get Twitter and TikTok mixed up, so I'm not sure which one. But she was on another platform. But now she's over to YouTube as well. So she is awesome. I notice her thinking and my thinking tend to be along the same lines at times. So she has taken some type of courses in law. I just can't specifically remember what, but there's something there to do with her with law and some courses. And she also has a presser pass. So she was able to sit in on the media with the media because she has that pass. And actually she, I guess it's probably like a license, you have to renew it or whatever. So she went through the trouble of doing all that and scrambling to get it done once she heard that this media discussions were going on between the media and RCMP regarding the cadaver dogs. So she pulled that all together and was able to get in there with as media. So kudos to her. And she was able to record it. So it is on her channel, and I just put the link in there, but we will go over there and take a peek at it as well. Like I said, I know some of you guys probably already saw it. Maybe some of you didn't. So what I thought we would do is go over there and take a look at that in the end, because I can just let it play through. And if any of you you want to leave or whatever, you don't have to stay around. But if you want to stay and have another conversation afterwards, then we'll do that because I'll still be here. Who else come into the room? The chat room. Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. Yeah, good morning from Alberta. 15 in Alberta. Oh, we're getting the warmer weather here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's pretty neat when you watch on TV. Nice to see Lily's boots. Yeah. Can't wait to get home and make some changes to my stepping stone. Yeah, it, some of those pictures, they're just sad to look at because you think that that's what they had on. Those little boots in her backpack is, I don't know why, but the boots get me. And I think, I've talked about it before, how some kids are just so glued to their rubber boots. Little kids seem to just love their rubber boots. Now out of my two, the youngest, you couldn't get them off his feet. And he would wear them all day. If you tried to take them off his feet, he would take a fit. So fine, all right, they're just rubber boots. They're not hurting nothing. But his feet started to stink. When you'd wear something too long with no socks or whatever, and of course you wouldn't keep the socks on. It starts to create that stinky smell. And, even after his bath before bed, he had to get the boots back on. He would not let you put him to bed without the boot. And this is when he was in a crib. He was still in a crib. I can distinctly, my memories of way back when are very clear. And no way, Jose. So I'd have to try to sneak in to get the boots off while he was sleeping, which he would wake up and then he would like immediately, grab at his feet and start flipping out because I was taking his rubber boots. Oh my. So I'd have to keep sneaking in until he was in that really deep sleep that I could sneak them off his feet. And this went on every day until he grew out of that. But yeah, he'd be running around with his diaper, just the diaper and the rubber boots on. Cute. And I have a picture of that, of course. Most of her podcasts are available on, oh, it's Spotify. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Kent. I am so happy the dogs are being brought in. I am too, Mary. Guys, don't think I'm crazy calling her Mary. Her name is actually Mary. That's why I tease her and say Mary's Randy. Because that saying, so and so's Randy. Sounds like they are going to search certain areas. Well, that's one of the things we're going to discuss as well. Just people's thoughts. I have some thoughts, and it's all speculation, of course. I have no idea. But just when you're thinking about it, you kind of think, I wonder if they would have be going to check this place. So we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. Perhaps they will find something, pinpoint an area. Yeah. Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed that, first of all, that hopefully they find the kids themselves. If they're in the woods, no matter what means that they were put there, whether they wandered off themselves or something nefarious took place, just pray, and hope that they find them. And if that's not the case, that they find something that, like you said, pinpoints them to something, Um, What a cute, funny story, Nova. Thanks. Thanks. I love those memories of my boys. Like, man, they did some cute stuff, I'll tell you. And I can distinctly remember what the rubber boots looked like and everything. They were blue and had a yellow stripe around the foot. Yeah, and man, he loved those rubber boots. He was funny like that, man. He was cute. They both were cute, but he did the sillier stuff like that. Cheryl had a nice video made of her garden, all Lily and Jack. Even little kids sitting there. She been posting posters all in Saskatchewan and Alberta and Manitoba, so hats off to her. Oh, awesome. Nice. Like Cheryl that's here right now. Cheryl in the chat. Cheryl Wozniak. Uh, that's nice. Yes, my phone is linked to my husband's, so his name shows up. Yes, it's Mary. Thank you, Nova, for remembering. Well, that sticks out in my head just being funny about it, right? That Mary's Randy. Because that actually you can say that, right? We know you're not really Randy. Yeah. Hello, Mandy. Thanks for being here and coming back. Yeah. All right. So let's take a peek first at. We will start with, for some of you who were not in It's a Crime and Shame the other day when Sonny was, I think it was after the presser, and they were discussing, and then the news came out and the CBC News, Kent played the CTV News over his phone. I think it was that day. Anyway, so I really wish Daniel would be the type of person that, I mean, if he's completely innocent, which we have no idea, I'll always say the same thing. We have no idea what took place here. We don't. The only people that know anything are the RCMP, or if anything nefarious took place, those who were involved. So everything here is just, anybody making comments in chat, whatever. It's all speculation, right? And so yeah, opinions expressed by persons in the chat do not reflect the opinions of Novah. Everything discussed here is speculation, theories, opinions, and possible rumors. So remember to use the IMO. And remember that we're all just speculating, right? And not accusing anybody, not, you know, like, when I hear Janie say stuff like, people are calling them red brummers and that the kids are in the driveway, stuff like, let's stay away from stuff like that, right? I've never ever seen any of you guys chat like that in this chat ever. I've never seen that. So thank you for that. And but let's discuss things that just to us, because I know it's not just me when I see this stuff and I'm thinking, what the heck? I know other people are thinking the same thing, like, what the heck, right? But I mean, if Daniel is, he's a total innocent fella. Um, just wait till you make those comments. Some people have to learn that. We learn as we get older, right? Some people have to learn that you might be the type of person. Hi, Mariska. Thanks for being here and coming back. Thank you for being a person with morals. Oh, thanks, Mariska. Um, and some people learn that as you get older. Like, I'm the type of person, and my husband has said it, and other people, like in more my workplaces or whatever, people have figured that out. I'm a pretty easygoing person. I don't get too upset over stuff. But I'm pretty giving and kind. But when something ticks me off, it's like, look out. You know? And I need that cooling down period. And my husband has figured out, he said to me, you need 3 days. You need 3 days. Like some people need 24 hours, some people can do it in an hour. He said, "You need 3 days to just get your head together, figure your thought outs before you respond when you get, when you get fired up or whatever." Um and, I c I think Daniel has to learn that, whether it's 24 hours, 2 days, 3 days, if you're like me. Just wait, wait, wait till you start responding, but no, he went right into Sonny's chat. And, his response was, um, uh and again, like, I mean, we don't know what took place here, right? We just know there's very strange stuff going on. That's very evident. That is so evident. There's very strange things being said, strange responses to things, just things that just make you go, "What? What the heck?" Right? Um, so, I wonder if the search areas picked are from all the videos they analyzed. Well, and that's what I mean, yeah, I wonder too, right? If some of those areas will be. Like there's one in particular that I'm wondering, okay, could they be going there? And we'll get into that. Um so Daniel went into It's a Crime and Shame when this news come out, and this is him stating this. They never notified me or mom of cadaver dogs officially by phone or message. Well, the thing is with that is that they did make it very clear they're only having those discussions with one particular person, which we can all assume is Malaya, being that she is the mother's children. And they did say that. They did say that. Hi, Cam, uh, from across the ocean. Welcome. Um, and for me, number one, Malaya not taking her clothes and some of the children's from Patty's place last laundry day. Um, you mean her not taking them with her when she left? The thing is, that's not what was originally said, um, about the clothes, right? Originally, it was made very clear by Daniel that she didn't take anything, nothing of hers, none of her clothes specifically. And then it went from that to the only thing she took was his 2 sweaters, and that was it. Nothing, his 2 sweaters. And now it's changed to um, that none of her clothes were there. She she didn't take them back from lunch. So I don't know. I don't know. Um, where was I officially? Yeah, yeah. So I was saying that they they did make it clear, right, that that type of communication would be through Malaya. Now, well, I mean, they said one person in of the family, so it most likely we can assume would be Malaya. But it is definitely somebody on that side of the family. And it would be up to that person, I guess, to share whatever information they want to share. And we know if it's Malaya, obviously she's not going to share it with Daniel. So, um, yeah. So now the other thing is, I mean, unless they're going to serve any kind of warrant, um, that would be probably, I would think, would be the only time they would be notifying them. And I don't think they're going to give them any kind of heads up on that you're going to be served with a warrant next week. We're just letting you know that we're going to let you know next week that we're coming with the dogs. So, I mean, it could be a good thing, right? because if they haven't shown up with a warrant and 2 dogs behind them, then, I guess you could probably feel happy about that. But now this week, sometime if they show up, um, with some dogs and a warrant, then I guess you'll be notified then, and that's just how that works, right? And we don't know. We don't know where they're going to search. Nobody knows, right? Yeah, so that was one thing um that was stated. Now I'll move on to the next one. Um yeah, so then he stated, I'm not impressed. And this really shocked me when I read this. I don't know why, but just getting to kind of know Daniel as this has, since the kids have gone missing, Lily and Jack. Um, I'm not impressed with investigators not even informing me or mom. Well, again, like I said, they made it clear they're informing one person, right? Of that stuff. Um, and if they do feel the need that they're going to be searching your property, they're not going to inform you. They're searching that because of the fact that they may find something that may lead to something nefarious that took place if there is a crime involved, which, I mean, we don't know, maybe they don't know. So they're going to have to do this the right way, right? Because if they do find evidence and something nefarious took place. It's just we all know how things work, right? It doesn't matter if you're innocent or guilty or what they think. There's a process they have to follow to do this right in case it does end up that something horrible happened here and it has to go to court. So, and that's my opinion and my thoughts on that. Um, so not even informing me or mom. I should release all the information. And this is where I'm saying, like, when things tick him off or he gets, you know, turned around the wrong way, you might want that to have that cooling off period before you start speaking, right? And that's just something you learn as you go. I should release all the information I brought to major crimes that would point fingers. It's undeniable, and I hold back. So, of course, he's talking about the evidence that he feels he has to show that Malaya has done something to hide the kids, which, I mean, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. In my opinion. I don't believe that to be true. It does that whole thing just to me doesn't make sense. And when you look at the whole timeline, which we have gone over here, you know, me and you guys in the chat, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Hi CB, CB, J9, hi Jay. Anybody else new coming in that I missed? Hi. What is the big deal about her leaving some of her clothes at Patty's? It's already out there that perhaps she wanted to leave. So it would make sense to me, or am I missing something? And I don't think it would be a big deal either. For me, once we kind of started to realize that, and when I say we, I'm talking about me and people here in the chat as, this whole thing kind of played out. It came to a point where you kind of started to realize that there's some domestic uh things not so good going on here, right? And one of the questions we had was, did Daniel somehow clue in that she's leaving? Like, did he get a look at her phone and see something on there that he realized? Like, was there something he came upon that made him clue in that she's gonna be out of there? So when I heard this, if it is true, because I really have to take everything Daniel and Janie say with a grain of salt, and we all know why. I'm not even going to get into why, but um, that could be it. I thought, okay, well maybe that was it. Maybe if she did do that, he kind of that was his clue, right? And we know things can That's a very dangerous point in a relationship, right? And in relationships where things are not going so good, domestically, right? So, what's going on in Nova Scotia? RCMP police, my area. I'm not aware of anything besides the ordinary. I don't know. Where are you at? What's going on in Nova Scotia? Um, RCMP police, my area. I'm not aware of anything besides the ordinary. I don't know, Jay. Daniel has been asking for the cadaver dogs, so maybe he was surprised they finally decided to use the cadaver dogs. Doesn't mean they are going to Dee's property. Exactly. We don't know that, right? We don't know that. But they're not going to tell him that. Is what I'm trying to say. Like if they are going there, they're not going to they're going to do everything by the book, right? Because they know that it's quite possible in any case, not because it's Daniel or Janie, in any circumstances that there's a possibility of running into something nefarious, right? So they're going to have to do everything the right way. Danny Boy seems to think he is entitled to things he may not be. Yes, I agree. Yeah, that's where that personality thing that he has going on there comes into play. Yeah. Need to be done properly. Yes, so it can not be thrown out in court. Exactly, right? Exactly. If anything happened there. I'll let you guys just keep on chatting there, and I know you'll help each other figure things out and discuss things with each other, and I'll continue on. Um, yeah, so information. So he's upset and he's gonna out a bunch of stuff that he's given to major crimes that would point fingers, and so we know what he's talking about there, right? That whole thing with Malaya that, him and Janie believe that she had something to do with fighting the kids. Okay. And then he says, but they did tell Malaya. So I don't know how he knows that or if he really does, because again, you have to take everything with the grain of salt. But if they did, well, you would already should know that they would, because they've already made that clear in media that, there's one person who's on the family side of the children, which obviously is probably the mother, that they are giving information to and discussions with. So, I don't need a criminal lawyer, believe me. So somebody must have said in the chat, told him to get a criminal lawyer or something, but he's saying he doesn't need one. And he says RCMP know how he feels. He's referring to RCMP there. They know how he feels because he's asked for them 10 times. I don't know if it was 10 times, but he has certainly told us that he's asked them numerous times for them. Now, whether he has or not, don't know. And he says he searched as far out as 6 kilometers, all trails and roads. So, I can't remember who it was there said something about, I think it was Mary, said about, do you think that, after going, when because RCMP would be going through this stuff, guys. There's 2 kids missing, and if you have members of the property where they went missing from talking, and Daniel talks a lot. I don't know if you guys remember when this all first started, I said, we got to pay attention to this stepfather, Daniel Martell, because he talks and talks and talks and talks. I would say he's spilling the tea. He's, I said he's spilling the tea, he's spilling the kettle, he's spilling the whole kitchen sink. and I knew he was going to be the one that would be talking and talking. But then we soon learned that a lot of it was, well, we learned what we learned, and now we know what we know, right? um, yeah, so, obviously RCMP are going to have to sift through all that, right? Because it just would be, it would be stupid not to, right? Um, so I had wondered, he had talked about a time when he had to send uh, a Google Maps snapshot or something to Malaya of where he was to help him get out of the woods because he was lost. Um, and now, when I read that, to me it sounded like he was talking about prior to when the kids went missing, that that's what it sounded like, just the way he had worded it. But whether it was prior to or during the search, either way, it doesn't matter. So to me, I had wondered, could that be one of the areas, right, that they would be searching? Things like that. Do things like that stand out to investigators? And, they would think that because they would be able to see that on the phones because they, went through all the phones. So I just kind of, it just made me think about the time that he had said that. And I thought, okay, well, would that be one of the areas that they would want to search? Because where was he? Um, and he said he was quite a ways in and he got lost. Um, so, I mean, I would think any areas like that, in order for them to rule out that nothing nefarious took place and these kids aren't in any of those areas, that they would certainly want to go check and have the cadaver dogs check that. Um, I mean, certainly the obvious areas, right? Where items were found. So I would think, in the area where the blanket, the boot prints, um, there was some things that were reported, that the searchers that had went out, not a part of search and rescue, but the searchers that just went out before the fire ban went on, and then that had to be stopped because of the fire ban. One of them was in here and was telling us, she had shown us the pictures that she had taken, and one of the things that not her herself, but in the group that she was with that was doing the search. One of them had found a fire with items in it, and it was a kid's stuffed toy and men's underwear, and I think it was a bottle of water. There was three things. Just the kid's toy and stuffed toy and the underwear was kind of like, okay, well, that's really weird. So anything like that was reported to police. And now I was watching Mike DeMann the other night there, and he was saying how they found, I wrote this all down, that some people that have been out searching again since the ban has been off, that somebody found a bag, a couple of garbage bags with soap in it. Now I don't know what the purpose of that would be. Like my husband, um, some people do that. Like my husband has put the Irish Spring around our property because it's a deterrent for deer. But I mean, out there, you're living in like we're in town trying to grow a little garden, right? But out in the country, you're gonna have deer. So, um, I don't know, or what that's all about. And apparently, that was found along in the area of one of Janie's brother's properties. Now we'll call this all speculation or rumors, right? Because I can't confirm that any of that is true, right? But these are people that are going out there volunteering to do searches, stuff that they're finding. So, I mean, all of that obviously would be reported to RCMP, and I can imagine that they would certainly have to make a decision if that's any of the places that they would need to take the cadaver dogs. They actually call them human remains detection dogs. Yeah, and then some areas that were mentioned in the recordings, and in the platform conversations, and then I have about Daniel stating that he had sent the text to Malaya to find his way out of the woods. Areas discussed around the pipeline, which I mean, I imagine they'd be going there anyways, because that's where the items were also found. And then I wondered about the sawmill, because there was rumors about RCMP paying a visit at the sawmill. And yeah, so you kind of wonder what was going on there. So I would think if they do have any kind of speculation of that, or just want to rule that out, that could be a possibility. Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of some areas that popped into my head. Now, of course, all complete total speculation. Hello to anybody new that has come in to the chat room. Cold BURN. We'll just call you RN. Hi, RN. Anybody? Oh, Solace. Hi. Finding Solace. Hi. The Pond. Hi. They are trying to push their narrative that Malaya planned something. Yeah. I'm not too into that narrative myself, but that's just my opinion. Yeah. Never fear all. Daniel has outworked the search team. Yes. Yes, indeed he has. He can outrun a helicopter. Hi, Betty. Thanks for being here. Infamous Kim, I definitely agree something is not adding up. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. So, now, let's go over to the news clip. And so, keep in mind what you just saw here when Daniel went into Sunny's chat room. I'm pretty sure that was the first day that we found out that the cadaver dogs were coming. It was either the first day or the second day. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't write it down, and my memory is so terrible. It's awful. But I'm going to go with the first day. I believe it was the first day. So let's go over to this news clip. I know some of you guys have probably watched it, but not everybody. So, oh yeah, you guys can see that okay. So RCMP say cadaver dogs will be deployed to search for missing Nova Scotia children. Hi Kim, another Kim, Kim McCann. If I missed anybody that came in, my apologies. Yeah, so we'll play this. So this is Daniel talking with Allie. Actually, it's not Allie he's talking with, I don't think. I believe it's the other reporter. But Allie wrote the article. I can't remember the other reporter's name. Is it Kayla? Might be Kayla. Okay, so we'll listen to this. If you guys can't hear this, let me know and I'll fix it.
Daniel Martell has been asking RCMP for months to call in cadaver dogs to search for his 2 missing stepchildren. Now the time has come.
It's going to be really hard work now that there's so much vegetation in the woods, but I'm pretty happy that they're going to be able to do it.
4-year-old Jack Sullivan and his 6-year-old sister Lily were reported missing on May 2nd. They were last seen at their home in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, a rural community deep in the woods. Nearly 5 months later, there's still no trace of them. RCMP say they need to keep their minds open to any possibility.
What's important to remember is that at this time we don't have any definitive information to support that the children are deceased, but we have to keep our minds open and look at all investigative avenues.
RCMP did bring in search dogs to scour the area here in Lansdowne Station when the children first went missing back in May. At the time, dogs were given pieces of Jack and Lily's clothing to track their scent, but nothing was found other than a piece of Lily's blanket, which family members actually located on their own.
Human remains detection dogs are specific to human remain odor, and that's completely different from live searching.
RCMP say 2 dogs will come to Nova Scotia from British Columbia to conduct the specialized search, a bleak mission. But Martell isn't expecting it will bring answers. So are you thinking that the dogs will go in there and won't find anything?
I know for 100% they won't find anything. I mean, that's probably why they waited this long to do it. It's just to keep the public informed, I guess, that they're hard at work.
RCMP say for officer safety and the integrity of the investigation, they won't disclose when the new search will begin or where exactly the cadaver dogs will be deployed, only that it won't be this weekend. Angela McIver, CBC News, Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia.
Sorry. That's a little bit different than what he stated on It's a Criming Shame. And he's talking in a little bit of a riddle there. And I've said before, Daniel kind of talks in riddles because he kind of always gives the that new saying that's out now. I hear it all the time on TV and younger people saying it, the yes no. I noticed Logan said it a lot in her interview on when she did her interview there with Sue. Yes no. That they call that talking in riddles, when you give 2 opposite answers, or you talk like he just did there. And I looked it up because in my experience as a nurse, when people talk in riddles, it's mental health. It's quite common with schizophrenia, talking in riddles. So I started to wonder, like, is Daniel undiagnosed schizophrenic, or, it's just something that popped into my head. It's total speculation. So let's take a look at what I found. Just bring that back up. You guys can see that, yeah. So speaking in riddles means communicating in a way that is intentionally indirect, mysterious, and confusing. Definitely confusing. Got us all confused. Rather than directly stating what is meant. People might do this to avoid hurting feelings, deflect from a problem, or simply to be enigmatic. What it means: indirect communication. Instead of a clear, straightforward statement, a person uses metaphors, puzzles, or confusing language to convey their message. Mysterious language. The words used are not easily understandable, creating a sense of mystery or difficulty in comprehension for others. Now, we have seen him talk like that as well, in that, if anybody saw the text that he had sent to Sue on it in the fog, or whatever that show is called, he was really referring to some different stuff there. Yeah, like, instead, talking about the fog and the ocean, and it was strange. Okay, so mysterious languages. They are words. The words used are not easily understood, creating a sense of mystery or difficulty in comprehension for others. Why someone might speak in riddles. Emotional evasion, to avoid upsetting someone or to be gentle about a sensitive topic. Deflection, to draw attention away from the real problem or issue. Denial, to create why am I stumbling on these words? Ambiguity, and to create ambiguity and avoid confronting an uncomfortable truth. Okay, let me say that again. To create ambiguity and avoid confronting an uncomfortable truth. Social awkwardness or anxiety, to express oneself when feeling shy, anxious, or unable to articulate thoughts directly. Intention to stimulate thought. Some may use riddles to prompt others to meditate on a subject, as in some philosophical context. Well, I don't think that's what's going on there. Yeah, so I thought that was quite interesting. You know, so when I look at this and okay, to avoid upsetting someone or to be gentle about a sensitive topic. And I don't think that's why he's doing it. And I think we've all done that, where someone's saying, do you, you picture the woman saying to the man, do you like this dress? And he's like, oh my God, if I say this, it's going to be the wrong answer. I don't really like it, but I don't want to tell. Like in that, right? I don't think that's what's going on there. To draw attention away from the real problem or issue. Well, that could be a possibility. To create ambiguity and avoid confronting an uncomfortable truth. That could be a possibility. To express oneself when feeling shy, anxious, or unable to articulate thoughts directly. And that could be a possibility, right? I don't think that we, would know that if he is an introvert. He doesn't come off that way, I can say that, but we don't know, I guess. Yeah. So, hello, Polar. Thank you for being here. Well, thank you for saying that. Yes, it's in my opinion, uh, yeah. So, who knows? Who knows, right? But I thought that was interesting. I honestly didn't expect that to come up. I thought it was I was honestly thinking it was gonna discuss mental health and the, certain mental health uh, issues that can cause it. And because, of course, my mind goes right to schizophrenia. So, because that's what and, history wise, career wise, that's what I'm used to dealing with. Yes, I agree. Yeah, thanks to Charmaine for getting the news briefing. Yeah, 100%. I'll put her channel in the chat again. Bye for now, late Monday night here. Yeah, it's so crazy how I just love that we're all around the world. Catch you guys soon. Thanks, Nova. I love your voice. Oh, thank you. Thanks for being here, Kim. Have a good evening and nighty night to you. Yeah, so thought that was interesting. Okay. Oh, did I X that out? I wanted to go over what Belynda said too. Belynda said she was jumping for joy. That's what she said in that article. She was so excited about this. Yeah, God bless her. Yeah. And I'm happy for her. I'm happy that she's happy. But then on the other hand, you think it's so sad, like I've watched so many cases and and things play out as it's happening. And when it gets to this point where the family members are showing happiness over steps being taken to retrieve the bodies of their loved ones, it's so sad, because there should be a different type of happiness that they're feeling. And it's just heartbreaking. Oh, hi, Charmaine. Welcome. We're going to play your video here in a bit. And thank you so much for that. I've been sharing your channel in the chat. No problem, Puller. When I saw how little the media was showing, I really wanted, you all to hear it all. Thank you. And thank you so much. I love education. And that was like an education, you know, uh, a little education center there, session there for sure. So that's awesome. Hi, Bobby Joe. Thanks for being here. Crazy, eh? It's go home o'clock at Costco. Go home o'clock. I always call 6 o'clock here, bark o'clock time. That's when all the dogs in the neighborhood are out barking, and you can just go by the routine, right? Of people getting off work, coming home, they're having their supper now. It's time to let the dogs out, have some outdoor time. And then again, around between 8 and 9, you'll hear it again before bedtime, right? Or probably between 8 and 10. Yeah. Hi, Troodles or Truddles. Just saw a notification for DT show going live tonight with updates of video footage of Daniel Janey and Trailer Search, and that they were cleared. I don't buy it, in my opinion. Well, he's been saying for a while now that they're cleared, but the RCMP have to say that that they're cleared. The last statement that we've read from them, which was on late August, states that they're still looking at everything. They didn't say we're looking at everything except this, and that these people have been cleared. They haven't said that. So until I hear that from them, yeah. So DT show going live tonight with updates of video footage of trailer. Well, I wonder if the dogs were out there today, if that's what that's referring to. I guess we'll find out when it comes on. But if they were, and there's video footage of the dogs going around the property and nothing was found there, I mean, that's good in the sense that nothing, would tell us nothing nefarious took place on that property, which is wonderful. So, yeah. So, and then the next thing is just hopefully, they find these babies. Yeah. Thank you, Charmaine. Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much, Charmaine. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't sleep till later, just going to do my salad, Novah. I'm a picky eater. Oh, yeah. I'm making chicken carbonara today for supper, and that takes a while to make that one. And I just do it in steps, I'll cook one part of it and then go take a rest. I have to because of my legs. But because you have to do the chicken and the bacon, and then the fresh mushrooms and onions, and cut them all up. And then you have to do your pasta too. So for me, it's like a 3-step meal. I just do a 3 step, take a break, another step, take a break, and then finish her. Wherever the police search, there's a reason they're going there. Yeah, absolutely. They're just not willy-nilly gonna go anywhere, right? It's strategic, is the word I would use for sure, Polar. This just isn't a show. Yep. I thought the RCMP said the search would not be near Not be near this weekend, but in over a week. I don't know if they said that. I don't remember, but of course with my memory. The RCMP have tight budgets, yes. So no matter what Daniel and Janie say, this isn't for show. Oh God, no. No, definitely not. And that whole thing that he said, like I said, it was like a riddle. It's like just bizarre. Yeah, did they go inside the trailer though? Um, I would hope if they're gonna take the time to go do the property, well, go in the trailer, right? Like, holy cow. I would hope. Making chicken Caesar salad tonight. Mm-mm. I like that too. I just figured a larger pot of home. I just finished a larger pot of homemade spaghetti sauce with my garden vegetables, made enough for 3 months. Yummy. Yummy, yummy. My mother is from Nova Scotia, Cape Breton, Glace Bay. My dad is from Belle Island, Newfoundland. I live in Pickerting, Ontario, Canada. Cool. Cool, Kim. I've never been to Newfoundland yet. Been to Cape Breton tons of times. Um, don't know if I'll ever make it to Newfoundland. But my husband's been there and my son has been there because that's where his girlfriend's parents live and they're engaged. They're going to be soon married. Yeah, and so she's a Newfoundlander. She's a Newfie. And I just adore her. She is a doll and she's her accent is not as strong as it used to be when I first met her. But she's got the twang and I love it. Um the RCMP would have to submit probable cause to get approval to use any and all resource for an investigation. Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a process, right? Which is a shame, and I've learned that working in healthcare. Uh, lots of times I might have strayed from that process, just kind of ethical decision. But sometimes those processes get in the way. But yeah, there is a process to everything, right? Nova, what's your email, Addie? It is Nova's channel at gmail.com. Ginger, I don't think the other two mods are here, so that's why I'm picking on you. Do you mind putting that in the chat? Nova's channel at gmail.com. These are human remains detection dogs. Yeah. Trained to detect human decomposition. I'm looking into that information for my own knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. I read quite a bit about the RCMP ones because obviously I knew if they're going to take them in, they'd be the RCMP. That's the other thing I wanted to say, guys. When they say that Nova Scotia doesn't have, RCMP's Nova Scotia doesn't have a cadaver dog. I'm not sure what the PEI name of the cadaver dog is, but that is for the Atlantic province. So, yes, it does have one. So, I always go back to Doc. Doc was the first RCMP in all of Canada. Um, uh, Human Remains Detection Dog, HRD dog. And he was from Nova Scotia. So, that's where his handler lived, where his handler was stationed, right? Where he worked. They get transferred around a lot too. So, I mean, let's say that handler in PEI got transferred to a mounting barracks, here in Pictou County. Well, then his dog would come with him, and now he would live in Nova Scotia, but he would still be for the Atlantic provinces. It doesn't matter where he lives. He's for the Atlantic provinces. So yeah, Doc lived here in Nova Scotia. He was the first one, but he's not Nova Scotia's RCMP uh, uh, cadaver dog. He is for the Atlantic provinces, and I believe one of the schools or training was in Newfoundland. Now I don't know. One's in Newfoundland, one's out west. Maybe they have more now, but I'm pretty sure the one in Newfoundland is still there. But Yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh my God, Nova Scotia doesn't have its own cadaver dog." Well, yeah. So I mean, out of all the provinces, so you have Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, New Brunswick, and PEI. Well, out of all those provinces, the province with the least amount of crime, and especially missing people and remains, being sought by a cadaver dog would be PEI. So, that they wouldn't pick PEI out of all the province and go, well, let's give them a cadaver dog because they really need it over there. Um, it's Kit. It is Kit. Oh, so Kit is the one that's sick. Okay, because they mentioned Kit in the article. Okay. Okay, so the other guy's coming to cover for Kit. Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to put that out there that you know m- all of our Atlantic provinces could say yes, we have an RCMP cadaver dog. It's just that they're stationed. His handler is stationed in PEI. So when they want to, you know, become a cadaver dog handler, and I don't know how it works in the RCMP if you have to apply to certain positions or however, where they're putting out in house that they're looking for a handler or whatever. Um, those people would apply. And so if they're looking for one in the Atlantic provinces, they could live in any of the provinces. It could have been that he lived in New Brunswick. Well, that's where Kit would be right now. But yeah, and then if they were transferred, so if this handler is in PEI, and let's say he's transferred to PEI, or Newfoundland, well, now that he'd be over there. Anyways, just putting that out there. Um, in my opinion, Nova, you're an amazing lady. Thank you for keeping Jack and Lily awareness. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I feel the same about Charmaine there, who's in the chat. Yeah, Charmaine is the one who made a bench, her and her husband, donated it to the school of Jack and Lily, and I picked out my coats that I'm going to be donating to the school too, in memory of Lily and Jack, because of what we know about them not having the coats, and that really bothered me, and I didn't know things are that bad with kids, here in Pictou County not having proper winter gear. So I actually picked 4 coats out. I was gonna do 2, but I actually picked 4 out because they were a good price. Hate to be morbid or point out the obvious, but if the heart is still beating, there is no decomposition happening. Yeah, yeah, true that. Yeah, it's just the facts, right? Unfortunately. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Kit is trained in human remains, buried remains, burnt remains, and contaminated soil. I just looked it up. Oh, cool. Yeah, I think that's what they're all trained. The training takes a while. Like, it's not, you know, uh it's a process. And I see why you're saying that. Yeah. Yeah, because some of them are still finishing their training as they're going. And then even when they're graduated, then it's just constant. They constantly keep them, going over that training. Yeah. And they breed their own dogs, all German shepherds. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful looking dogs. So healthy looking. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Ginger. Please show Nova some love by tapping that thumbs on the up button. Thank you. Thumbs up button. Talking backwards. Okay, so what are we going to go to next? There was something else. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So we went over Daniel, went over the talking in riddles. Went over some areas of speculation that they could be looking. RCMP, RC, went over Daniel's 2-minute interview, or I wouldn't really call it an interview, but a comment there. I think we're going to head over to Charmaine's video now, and I'm just going to let that play right through without interruptions. And if you got, I'll be here. And afterwards we can, chit chat more if you guys want. After you watch it, I will be here. Okay. So again, thank you, Charmaine. I'm going to put Charmaine's, there's her link. I think that'll probably take you right to the video, but you'll be on her YouTube page as well to sub. So we'll go over there and play that, and you will also see her channel there and how this video starts. So it's called True Crime Stories. And while you guys are watching it and chatting, I'll put some of your chat up on the screen, okay? If there's any issues with the sound, let me know, because I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. I'll make this bigger once I hit play. Hi, AI Henry. Thanks for being here. And our Sunny too. Yep. Keeping these children out there. Yep. Yep. Charmaine, Sunny, Kent. I have to say Justin from Clutch Them Pearls, and I know some people are just don't say anything in the chat bad about other people or in the comments either. I know, I'm not everybody's, tickety boo. I've had comments left, you suck, or you're clickbait, or whatever. It's just we all have different tastes, and that's okay, right? But we don't have to be nasty about it. But Justin, like, you got to give credit where credit's due. He keeps them out there, and even when there was really nothing to talk about, he would just go over some other stuff, right, and point things out and be funny about stuff and kind of lighten the mood. And Mike Demand, AB. So there's lots of people keeping this story alive, right? Which is awesome. So, all right, I'm going to hit play. If there's any issues with the sound, you guys let me know and I'll adjust, okay?
Well, it's shortly past 3 and we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending. I'm Corporal Guillaume Tremblay with the Nova Scotia RCMP. I'll be your moderator this afternoon. Bonjour à tous, je suis Caporal Guillaume Tremblay de la GRC en
Hi, Seawood.
Je serai votre modérateur pour aujourd'hui. I'm joined today with the two RCMP's subject matter experts in police dog services. With us today, we have Staff Sergeant Steve Pike. He is the program manager of the RCMP Police Dog Services Training Center. And also joined with us is Sergeant Dave Whalen, a supervisor in RCMP Police Dog Services. Staff Sergeant Pike and Sergeant Whalen are here to answer questions.
Okay, if you guys didn't see that there, Cheryl saying, just got word, dogs are at Janie's now. Haven't picked up scent, but are searching other areas close by. Yeah.
About police dog human remains detection. Aujourd'hui, je suis accompagné de deux experts de la GRC dans le domaine des services de chiens de police. Le sergent d'état-major Steve Pike, gestionnaire de programme au centre de dressage des chiens de la GRC, et le sergent Dave Whalen, superviseur des services de chiens de police de la GRC. Le sergent d'état-major et le sergent Whalen sont ici pour répondre aux questions spécifiques à la détection des restes humains par les chiens policiers. As noted in the advisory about their availability, they're not here to speak directly about an investigation they're supporting. They are here to answer questions regarding human remains detection and police dog services. I also have with me here today my colleague Ian McDonald, who is online to assist the question and answer period. We will take one question and one follow-up from each of you, and we will proceed in alphabetical order. When asked the questions, Ian will proceed and unmute your mic, and then you can proceed with the question and the follow-up afterwards. Please state your name and the agency that you represent. Comme indiqué dans l'avis aux médias, ils ne participent pas directement aux enquêtes, mais ils les supportent. Alors, ils sont ici aujourd'hui pour répondre aux questions en relation d'être maître chien et des détections de restes humains. Si vous avez des questions directement pour l'enquête, s'il vous plaît, communiquez avec les communications stratégiques de la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse. Avec moi ici aujourd'hui, j'ai aussi mon collègue Ian McDonald qui est en ligne pour nous assister avec la période de questions-réponses. Durant la période de questions-réponses, s'il vous plaît, limitez-vous à une question et un suivi et indiquez quelle agence et votre nom. Just as a reminder, if you have any investigative questions specifically, you can contact the Nova Scotia RCMP Strategic Communications and direct those questions there. I'll hand over the floor to Staff Sergeant Pike for a quick intro, and then we'll follow up with Sergeant Whalen.
Thank you. As mentioned, my name is Stephen Pike. I'm a member of the RCMP, currently posted at the Police Dog Service Training Center, located in Innisfil, Alberta, where we are responsible for the breeding program and the training and validations of all the RCMP police service dogs across Canada. My role as program manager oversees that as for the national level.
Thank you, Staff Sergeant Pike. We'll pass things over to Sergeant Whalen.
Hey, my name is Sergeant Dave Whalen. I'm stationed down in the lower mainland of Vancouver, BC. My current role is a training NCO for a large team down in Vancouver. I've got just about 35 years experience, 21 years of that as a dog handler, and I spent 5.5 years working with Staff Sergeant Pike in the Police Dog Service Training Center, and I'm currently a human remains dog handler with my dog Kit.
Thank you both, and as noted, both will be in Nova Scotia to assist with investigations here with the Nova Scotia RCMP. I'll hand things over to Ian. We'll start with the question and answer period. We'll proceed alphabetically. Thank you, Ian.
Good day, folks. We will proceed alphabetically as per my participant list via Teams. So Adam, pardon me if I get your last name wrong, Ponce, you're up. No? Okay. We will proceed with Allie Thompson.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'd like to know why now? Why not earlier in this investigation?
Ali, I can take that question of the police dog services here. And in regards, I'm assuming you're talking about the Lilly&Jack file.
Yeah.
So earlier on, very active investigation, a lot of resources, hundreds of volunteers, thousands of volunteer hours, square kilometers of search thoroughly. And we have to keep our options open, look at every investigative avenue. To this date, we've received over 800 tips. We've done 80 interviews, over 1,000 tasks, and reviewed over 8,000 videos. Certainly, there's a lot of work in missing persons investigation. And this is, the next step with our resources. We're looking at every resource that's available, and investigators are working very hard every day on this file.
that does not answer my question. Let me rephrase it. When are cadaver dogs usually brought into such missing persons investigations? Is there any sort of timeline that police look at for that?
Did you want me to jump in there?
Yeah, sure thing, Steve, if you want to take that first portion, and if it's specific to Lilly&Jack search, I can certainly handle that.
No, it would just be in general terms. In regards to the question there, at what point do they come in? And it was similar to be echoing what you had stated. It's a certain stage of a process. So to incorporate a human's remains detection, you would have to believe that there's reason to that decomposition is taking place. Other than that, when the investigation would start, you have to rule out all other possibilities. Are they missing? Are they simply wandered off? So until you accomplish all those other, as you said, information coming in, tips that are coming in, you have to process all that information. If not, for a police service dog to be utilized to its most effective, you want a clean slate, for lack of better terms. You don't want to have so many variables of so many searchers and rescuers taking part in that search that the dogs now don't have a clear picture of what their task is. You and I could explain to each other, hey, we're looking for someone wearing this clothing. If we deploy the dog, they have to decipher that world, but from a scent perspective. So how do they distinguish? We want to make it as accessible as possible so that we deploy the resources with the most effective outcome.
Ali, if I can add as well, earlier on, the police dog services here in Nova Scotia did deploy to the scene, and they were trained to detect human scent, and they were heavily involved in the searches in very early on, as soon as the call came in.
So this isn't the first time that dogs that can detect human remains have been deployed in the search?
So the dogs that police dog services here in Nova Scotia can detect human scent, so they can track a person through the woods, for example.
Okay. And my follow-up, how long is this work expected to take? What kind of timeline do these investigations follow?
The timeline's basically, there's no real answer to that because we don't know what we don't know. So if we're going to deploy and search for whatever the case might be, whatever that target could be, whether it be explosives, drugs, live humans, decomposition material, you go till you alleviate all those possibilities, all those tips, if you will, all those highest areas of probability. So there's no real timeline to follow until you extinguish all the possibilities.
Thank you, Ali. Ian, we can go down the list.
Perfect. Andrew Sampson.
Hi, folks. Just a really quick question before I ask my actual question. You said the dogs that searched were trained for human scent. That's different than human remains. That would be a human that was still alive. Is that true? Is that the case?
Thanks for that question. So yeah, earlier on, the police dog services here in Nova Scotia, whenever we call their services for an investigation, it would be to track a person's scent. It could be breaking under where the person of interest runs off to the forest. It could be a person who is missing. There's many scenarios where we would call on police dog services here in Nova Scotia.
Okay, thank you. So my question is, earlier it was mentioned that, you don't bring in the cadaver dogs until it's clear that, you're searching for remains. You don't want to confuse it with the other people searching. But we know that the search hasn't been active for months now. And, I think even as early as May 7th, police were saying it was unlikely the children were still alive. So with that known, I'm curious why it has taken so long to bring these dogs in.
Sorry, go ahead.
I can answer that the first portion there. in regards to the investigation. You know, there's certainly a lot of steps at the very beginning, a lot of information that's being gathered by those investigators, and they have to follow up on those leads, right? We have to keep our minds open to any possibility, and certainly, you know, we are open to any scenario in this case, and we have our police dog service experts that are coming in at this time.
I'll just add to that. I was a diver with the RCMP, and we would have to search. And what it comes down to is you search the areas of highest probability. So any investigation would have to direct you or point you into areas of highest probability. For the resources, all the background that it takes to locate areas of possible interest, for lack of better terms. So do you just each day pick a new area? Well, where do you target this to use the resources most effectively? Again, it's, as you stated, it's somewhat time sensitive. So if you burn out all your resources earlier on without having true information to lead you to the area of highest probability, that's all for now.
Okay, and just to follow up then.
Guys, we'll just pause this and go over to the new news release today on CTV News. Thank you. Who was it that said that? Sorry, I forgot that quick. Hi to anybody new that came in too. I'm trying to look back to see who just said that. I'm sorry to whoever it was. Thank you for letting us know that, because she's interviewing one of the what do you call them? I can't think of the name now. Expert. CB, send me an email. Ginger will put my email in the chat there, and I'll send them to you, okay? Just so it's Novah's channel at gmail.com. And you can send me an email and I will send them to you. All right, let's go over to this and then we'll come back to this.
It has been nearly 5 months since 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan disappeared from their home in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. So for weeks, hundreds of trained search teams and RCMP investigators scoured the wooded area, searching for anything, any clue that would lead to conclusive evidence of the siblings' disappearance. Despite hundreds of tips, dozens of interviews, their disappearance remains unsolved, and a sense of unease currently hangs over the community. For more on where the investigation is right now, I'm joined by CTV public safety analyst Chris Lewis. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Lindsay.
So, Chris, I want to start by saying we did reach out to Nova Scotia's RCMP about this investigation. This is what they told us. Quote, the RCMP's investigation into Lilly&Jack Sullivan's disappearance is a very active, intensive investigation. We are continuing to engage every resource available to help locate Lily and Jack and determine the circumstances of their disappearance. So I want to ask you about that. What do we know about what police have gathered so far?
Well, there's a lot we don't know, and nor should we, given that when they're conducting a criminal investigation, they're not alerting the public to every piece of evidence they find, or different interviews they've conducted, or different suspects they might have, because that will hurt the investigation and ultimately potentially a trial at some point. But they have done a very extensive job. You know, we all know they searched for days around the house where they went missing. They did subsequent searches. They searched other areas. They gathered, I believe, 8,000 different videotapes from area homes and businesses, trying to see if they could see the kids in them. There's been lots of interviews following hundreds of tips. They've conducted polygraph examinations. And just by their statement that this is still an intensive investigation, they're investigating something or someone. because it gets to the point where you may not have any more interviews to do and suddenly get a tip and you are. But the way they've described it, I would say they're not just coming into work every day and hoping to get a tip. They're
When you say that you believe that they're investigating something or someone, what's the language that they're using that makes you think that?
It's just that the way they talk about it still being an intensive investigation. That tells me something. They're following up something. And when you get the hundreds and hundreds of tips that they've received, there's a lot of work to that, because finding certain people at times is difficult, or some of the tips have resulted in them going to other places to search. All that requires a lot of people, and the RCMP will put a lot of people on this. And I don't think that's really changed. They're still actively working hard at something.
RCMP did announce on Friday that cadaver dogs will begin searching for the 2 children. Is this the first time that they've used cadaver dogs?
I haven't heard about cadaver dogs so far, but obviously if they're using cadaver dogs, they've got a certain area to search. I can't imagine they're just going to walk those dogs through, such an immense pile of landscape. So potentially that's a clue that they're narrowing it down to a certain area. We don't know what any of these tips are. Sometimes tips are, we saw so-and-so walking on a street in a different country, and you can quickly write those off. But other tips force you to go to a specific area or to certain people, or both. And let's hope that's the sort of information they're acting on now, and they're steering the cadaver dogs into a proper area to conduct a thorough search.
One of the tools they've used are the polygraph tests. Polygraph tests were done on all members of the family, we understand, including paternal grandparents, the child's biological father. What do we know about the results of those tests?
Well, and I was a polygraph examiner myself at one time, so I understand that process very well. And what they have said in some of the documents to obtain search warrants or different orders from the court, although redacted, they did talk of polygraph examinations. They did specifically, in some cases, people were proven to not be deceptive. So they believed them. And in other cases, it was redacted. And so there's a little confusion about that. And a redaction doesn't mean someone has been deceptive and is guilty of anything, but it certainly may be cause for more investigation into somebody.
Chris Lewis, CTV Public Safety Analyst, thanks for your time.
Anytime, Lindsay. Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.
Yeah, so that would have been Janie that he was talking about. That was the redacted information, and it was inconclusive, according to her, due to her heart condition. But they did put it through the polygraph, which is, that to me, that whole thing is, there's something odd there. In my opinion. Just me. In the documents, it did not say that Justin had been given a polygraph, but keep in mind those documents were only until mid-July. So what took place after that, we're not aware of, right? So, just wanted to answer that question. Infamous Kim, I agree. Ockman's razor. Yep. Yepper. All right, let's go back to the other video. And somebody said something there, and I agree. That officer, yes, that officer told us a lot about Jack and Lily investigation. They did not receive true information on where to spend resources in the beginning. And I agree, he did tell us a lot. And that was another thing I wanted to mention, besides them stating that Nova Scotia doesn't have a cadaver dog, when KIT is for all the Atlantic provinces. But is that you have to keep in mind. So one officer is speaking of the process of these types of investigations, and which to me is the guy that I'm paying more attention to, because the other officer is actually speaking on directly about the Jack and Lily investigation, and he's involved. He's not going to tell us anything to protect the integrity of the investigation, which he has to do. So they're not going to get nothing out of him, right? He's still doing what they they've always been doing and will do, is keep that information close to their vest. But the other guy is speaking in general terms of how this process plays out and giving us a bit more information, right? So we just have to kind of fill the slot with Jack and Lily's name of what he's giving us, or the Jack and Lily case, right? So yes, 100% the pond. Totally agree. And then you can see how they both answer the questions differently. The other guy just keeps giving the usual politically correct, keep it to the vest, don't divulge anything due to the integrity of the investigation, which I mean he's supposed to do, right? So 100% agree. Thank you, guys. Your presence motivated me to do some chores. Cute. All right, now let's go back to Charmaine's channel, and we'll play the rest of that for those who haven't heard it, or even when you're listening to it again, you pick up stuff. Now, when I listen to it on Sunny's, there's one guy that he's very loud and clear, the cuter fella, and the other guy's more soft-spoken. And on Sunny's, that's when, I don't know why, but it would always say, "You are watching true crime story podcast," or whatever. And it was when he was talking, and he's very soft-spoken, so I couldn't make out what he was saying. So this is a little different for me today because I'm actually making out what he's saying today.
The fact that you are going to search with these dogs now, do you guys know what the area of highest probability is now where you're searching, and are you able to say where that is?
I can answer that question, Steve and Dave. So for officer safety and the integrity of the investigation, we're not going to disclose where our officers are going to be searching in the coming days or in the coming weeks. It's certainly for their safety. It's for the integrity. And I understand that all Nova Scotians want to know what happened to Lily and Jack, and our officers do too. We know it's going to take time. We wish it'd be faster, but we have to be patient.
Thank you, Andrew. Keith Doucette.
Hi, thanks. I wonder, not to belabor the point, but I wonder if somebody can clearly state the difference between a cadaver dog and the dogs that you were using, since the dogs that you were using were capable, I understand, of picking up the scent of somebody who just died. So what's the difference now? Is it time?
So the dogs that would have that deploy generally, so human remains detection dogs are specific to human remain odor, and that's completely different from live searching. So as of you, me right now, our scent is made up of your own personal as well as your secondary odors, such as your laundry detergents or any cosmetics or an environment in which you work in. So for example, if I was a mechanic, I'd be working in different chemicals, oils, so on and so forth. That would be adding to those components. All of that, our dogs are trained to search, whether it be tracking, as it was mentioned before, or even just searching. The dogs can recognize a human odor, as well as they can recognize scented materials. So for example, clothing items, evidence that is discarded. So there's 2 or 3 gamuts of what those original dogs that may deploy, we call them full profile or multi-profile police service dogs. They're the well-rounded, do a little bit of everything dog. When it comes to an HRD, they specifically do human remains decomposition. So that, like I said, that is a completely different gamut of possibilities, or a profile that they would search for. So they would be more specific, whereas the other teams would be more generalized into those items of interest. Could have been clothing that they could have found. The human remains detection dogs, they would not necessarily indicate on those. They may show some interest, but only be indicating to us to further investigation in regards to the presence of human remains odor. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, no, it's helpful. And with regards to the specialized dogs, how successful are they generally in searches? In other words, if you're in an area and there is a body there that you hadn't previously detected, are they going to find it necessarily?
Dogs will only find it if the odor is present. So when we search, how do I describe this? In Nova Scotia, back in 2017, there was a research study conducted with the Medical Examiner's Office and the RCMP. This is kind of the building blocks of the human remains detection program for the RCMP. And when they did their study, I believe it was published in 2017, and their status for the training exercises was a 94% success rate. And out of that, that's where we developed our program and how we started incorporating that into our training. So in regards to operationally, there's so many factors that could come into place. One, if that odor is not being released for whatever reason, well, then the dog won't be able to pick up on that odor. It's in essence not present. So if we take a Ziploc bag, for example, and it's completely airtight and the odor is no longer present, well, the dogs won't indicate on that. We may be visually be able to see that, but if the odor isn't present, the dogs are trained for odor. Once that odor is released, whatnot, then that dog would indicate to its handler. So this is why it's that team effort as well. The dogs may show interest on something and bring the handler closer, where they might be able to locate it as a team effort.
All right, thank you. Okay, next, Marnie Els.
Thank you. I'm wondering, how long after death are these dogs most effective in searching? How long can they successfully search for? How long is the odor good for?
Again, there's so many variables. If I'm a larger individual, well, there's more material that will be releasing gases, and so it will be around for a longer period of time. The conditions, is there a slow release, or is it, is the predator or scavenger interaction? There's so many different variables. You won't be able to put a timeline on any of those components. There's, like I said, it basically is an educated guessing. You would have to take in all those parameters and conditions in how the remains have been placed or laid or decomposing, and what effect the environment and or the situation unfolds.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, a lot of it is environmentally based, and for example, what the staff Pike was talking about is what was the person wearing, where do they pass on? Is it in the fall? Is it during the midsummer? All that will have an effect on the human body. But what we can say is our dogs have been finding, bones just out in the forest. And when those bones are put down, we can kind of trace back whenever that person went missing, to know that, okay, this is reasonable to know, kind of thing. So, so we all different stages of decomposition is that what our dogs are going to be able to detect for us.
We've had a very hot, dry summer here. Does that make the situation better or worse for your dogs?
I think I'd be very confident if we can get our dogs in the right area. That our dogs, even if it's been a hot, dry summer, that should be fine for us.
Okay, and last question. So these dogs, the human detection dogs, we don't have any of those in Nova Scotia. They have to come from elsewhere. Is that correct?
Correct. The only one on the East Coast is in PEI right now.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Marnie. Up next, we have Heidi the Project.
Hi, just sorry, looking for my mute. It's Heidi Petrachik with Global National. Thanks for doing this. I have a technical question. How, if something is buried, what's the depth of scent detection that a human remains dog can do? Has that ever been studied?
For the most part, service dogs are lacking the scientific research and support just because it's relatively new, especially in Canada. They're pushing the limits, They're reaching out and expanding those limits all the time on the research. There's an advanced decomposition facility that's been recently opened in the last 5 or so years at a Trois-Rivières in Quebec. I believe there's some talk that they're looking at doing one in Ontario. So the science is trying to catch up. In regards to the depth, again, I don't know of any specific answer to that. The presence of odor. If the odor is there and it's being released, whatever depth it might be, whatever conditions it might be in, if the dogs are able, as Dave said here a few moments ago, if we have the ability to put the dogs in close proximity to where that odor is being released, the dogs will be successful. It's whether the odor is there and being released at the time that the dog is present.
In your experience, or in the experience of the other officer as well, have you ever found remains that have been buried to a significant depth?
Yes.
What would the depth have been in your recollection?
I think a significant depth would be a sliding scale for many people, but it was at least 2 feet, I would say. I don't know if that's significant or not, but like Staff Pike was just saying, air was being released and it was making it to the surface for our dog to go and find. You can relate this directly to our avalanche dogs, even the Carta dogs, the Canadian avalanche people. They're finding avalanche victims that are buried in snow many meters deep, but there's air being released through all the little different snow tracks to the surface. Those dogs are finding that odor, and that's live odor. Obviously, they're being buried, but yes, we do train for buried as well.
Our training standard is the 2 feet, 60 centimeters. As well, I was on some training exercises in the States, and the teams were exposed to the training exercises to depths of up to 6 feet. And the dogs were indicating.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. I see that several people have their hands up there. I'm going to ask you to lower the hand just because you're throwing off the list of individuals I have and I don't want to miss anybody. So if you could lower those, that would be appreciated. We continue on. Thank you. So up next, I'm going to go to Lindsay Jones.
Charmaine, did you have your hand up?
Lindsay Jones with the Globe and Mail, and I have a question picking up on Heidi's. I'm wondering, can these dogs detect odors underwater and in ashes as well?
So our training standards, we do expose the teams, and they have been successful in water and burnt remains. We have one of our teams that we train. It's not directly RCMP, it's a partner agency. They were involved in a search, and when they deployed on a boat, and they have markings that coincide with the wind and the current, where divers went in and located. And his dog, he reported his dog indicating in 3 or 4 locations along that path. And that body was recovered, I believe it was 18.2 meters, 60 feet.
Wow, thank you. And one more question. Can you locate original locations of remains after a body has been moved?
So what we would call that, again, I don't know if the correct term or not, so apologize. Feel free to fact check me here and get back to me. We would call it dirty dirt. And what would happen is if materials we're looking at. So like our dogs indicate, as long as that presence, and again, we'll go back to what we said before, if the presence of human remains decomposition material is there, our dogs will indicate. And they've indicated on tools, equipment, and different things where I'm paraphrasing what your question is there. Will they find an original theme? Depends on what material is present, to be off-gassing, to releasing that decomposition odor.
Thank you.
I think an example, Lindsay, is literally just yesterday I was doing some training with my dog. I have a box in our training facility that we use. I've got 2 pieces of bone, they're femurs. We placed dirt inside of that box and put the femurs inside of the dirt. Yesterday, I just took maybe a tablespoon of dirt out, put it in the middle of the parking lot, and let my dog go for a search, and he went and found this dirt in the middle of a huge parking lot. So yes, we are able to go and find what you think is called an original scene. There's remains inside the dirt, with the dirt binded to the dirt, and yes, our dog should be able to tell us that it's there.
Thank you, Lindsay. Chris Lambie.
Hi there, Chris Lambie, National Post. Were these specialized dogs available before now?
Again, these dogs have been functioning. The RCMP have had human remains detection dogs. Our first course that we put off was 2017, and our numbers have fluctuated everywhere from the original 4. We've had as many as 11, I believe, and currently we're sitting in around that 6 to 8 that are operational. So, for example, my partner there, Dave, when he mentioned in PEI, that dog handler, that team, they wouldn't be able to respond to calls for service right now, but due to some medical.
Okay. So if you have a dog that can do this in PI, why are you 2 coming from OS to do this?
That's what I just referenced. He wouldn't be able to deploy. Their team is on the sidelines due to medical reasons.
So did the RCMP want to search with cadaver dogs earlier than this?
Earlier to which, like I said,
before now. Before now, did you want to use a cadaver dog but not have one available?
Again, that's specific to any investigation. I won't be able to comment in regards to a specific investigation. We deploy dogs when they're best suited to the information or the investigation details that we have.
Chris, if you have that specific,
did you want cadaver dogs before this? We're not able to access them.
So I don't have that information at this time, and certainly we can take note of that and let's check with investigators. What's important to remember is that at this time we don't have any definitive information to support that the children are deceased, but we have to keep our minds open and look at all investigative avenues. And earlier on, like I said, we did have police dog services that could pick up human scent, and an extensive search with hundreds of volunteers that were present, right? So we're at the step at the investigation where we have to explore that avenue and bring in specialized human remains detecting dogs.
Thank you, Chris. Mitchell Bailey?
Yes, thank you. Has there been any tips or information received lately that are contributing to why the cadaver dogs are being deployed now at this point?
I can answer that question again. And you know, at this time, we don't have any definitive information to support that children are deceased in the Jack and Lilly search. And our investigators are committed to finding out what happened to their disappearance. And this is another example of utilizing all services that are available to our officers. And we have to remain patient. I know, like the public, our officers want to know what happened. And we're not going to stop until we find out what happened.
And also, I just want to know, and I believe this was mentioned slightly before, but just looking to get a bit more information, is there an ideal window to conduct these types of searches? Isn't there essentially an end period where it's been too long and the cadaver dogs might have increased difficulty identifying remains?
I believe we have one call for service where a team deployed 2+ years later and recovered material that had been located on the ocean floor during peak high tide or low tide moment that occurred every 10 years or every period of time. The handler was actually on holidays and heard about this tide occurring and made on his own time said, I have to go back and see if we can locate more. The investigation brought them to an area where they did find some bone, some material in around the shoreline. And with the low tide, they went out and they located out into the ocean further as the tide went out. So that would have been material that at least would have been 2+ years on the ocean floor. So again, it's I don't want to say it's limitless, but it's a new profile in regards to Canadian standards. Officially, it's only been in Canada in the last 10, 15 years, where people have been promoting it or been able to actively involved with it. And yeah, with so many variables in play, there's no definitive answer of what the dogs can or can't do. It's all based on the variables or circumstances to that specific incident.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mitchell. Jacob Moore.
Can you hear me all right? Yeah, I'm just wondering, can you say what you have ruled out so far in this case, in terms of where they might be and where the children have ended up?
Jacob, that's a good question. We mentioned that we search, I believe it's 8.5 square kilometers thoroughly with hundreds of volunteers. Search managers have provided images in the past where you can miss someone's remains. You can miss someone that could be under foliage or trees, or just last year, I believe we found a gentleman in proximity of a vehicle, and it was a missing person, and it was a year after they had gone missing. So how sure are we that we searched thoroughly? We definitely did search thoroughly, but we have missed something because of the foliage, because of a down tree, because of the weather, because of daylight hours. Absolutely. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add, Dave or Steve, regarding the experience you've had in the past there.
I was going to reference that same one that you mentioned there. Humans search visually. And if something is blocking the view or camouflaging, so on and so forth, this is why, as you said before, that what the dog can offer is that odor present. So they don't rely on the visual. They will take us to that foliage. They will take us to those somewhat concealed or buried or whatnot. If there's odor present, the dogs will locate it. And this is just another tool in the toolbox, for lack of better terms, and another way that we can go over any areas that might have been previously viewed and or new areas. This is, again, covering all avenues, possibilities.
Yeah, can I add a follow-up on there? If these cadaver dogs turn up nothing in these woods after weeks or however long you're going to search, does that indicate to you that these children are elsewhere than these woods?
Jacob, yeah, go ahead, Dave, please.
Yeah, because I've done many searches where we haven't found anything. That does not mean to say that there isn't something there. It just means I wasn't able to get my dog into the proper area where there was a presence of the odor that he's been trained to find. And that's it. Like, if we haven't found anything, it just means that my dog wasn't in the right area for the odor that he's been trained for.
Thank you, Jacob. Rebecca Lau.
So if the dogs don't find anything, could the conditions change? And like if you came back, perhaps they could find something then?
Again, that will come down to the areas of probability, the odor releasing, the, different gamuts. If, for example, it was a small area like the parking lot, as Dave said, from training exercises, we would search an area. And just as a precaution, or not precaution is the right word, just to reassure, well, the winds could change, different parameters. So we would actually change their search pattern. And there's certain things that we will do with an operational handler to eliminate as many variables as possible. So all of those things will be considered in any investigation that we're doing. Does new information arise? So why would we continually go back to the same area unless we have reason to? Or why would we move to somewhere else unless we have reason to? And this goes down to the areas of highest probability and the best utilization of resources, whether it be the searchers. When any file first comes up, we usually try to find the last known location or possible locations, and this is where we start from. So for us to move or go different areas or locations, generally we're going to need or want something to pull us there, point us in those directions. So again, there's no definite answer because all those variables had to be considered, and then they had to be reanalyzed and new game plans made.
Okay. And just a point of clarification, how big is the team that's coming to Nova Scotia? How many handlers and how many dogs?
There's going to be, I can answer that. There's going to be 2 of us with a dog each. And one of the reasons why we chose to bring 2, one is simply just availability as well. But we're going to be doing a bunch of searching, and what Staff Sergeant Pike was just referring to is, let's say my dog is showing some interest over in whatever part of that we are searching, but he hasn't been able to find anything specifically, like he hasn't been able to get to the source of whatever odor that he's showing a good interest in. Okay, I'm going to pull my dog out and I'm going to get the other handler to come in, and I'm not even going to tell him what I've been seeing or even the location. I'm just going to let him go work that area the same way that, or the area that he thinks he should work it, and see if we have similar results. I'm doing the same thing here in the Lower Mainland. I was out searching for a missing dementia person that they had believed was in a specific area. I went out and searched this area. It was along the Fraser River. My dog is not a very, he'll go and work in water, but he won't go volunteer on his own unless he's got a reason to do it. He hopped into the Fraser River and started swimming around trying to find an odor in the water. Okay, well, that was pretty significant for me. I went back 2 days later. He showed me the same interest, same area. Okay, the underwater dive team came out to search the area. They didn't find anything. It doesn't mean that there isn't anything there. My dog was just out for a swim. The underwater recovery team probably didn't find the person on the bottom of the Fraser River. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get another dog to come out and verify that that I'm not doing something wrong as well. So he's going to go and search and hopefully find the same location, so we can go back to the underwater recovery team and say, you guys have to do another search because there's definitely something in the Fraser River. So yes, to answer your question, is there's going to be 2 of us with 2 different dogs doing the same searches as we're going throughout the Atlantic region.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Charmaine?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, sorry. Thank you very much for doing this today. Could you talk a little bit about the training your dogs go through and also the age of your dogs?
For the Police Dog Service Training Center, we do the full gamut of training. We oversee the development of the younger dogs. We'll call that the imprinting stages. So breeding program develops or births the puppies. Those puppies then go with police officers in the field that are working towards becoming dog handlers through an apprenticeship program, and they work with the dogs to start. That was what we would call informal training. By the time the dog gets approximately a year and a half, so 18 to 24 months, they will start official training program, and they will do that with a teammate, the dog handler, That consists of 85 training days. So they'll start generally in the spring, April, and they'll run till the end of August, September. And that will be what we would call the full profile general duty police service team. Those teams then will have one of the specialties for detection. That could either be explosives, drugs, or human remains. From there, the explosives or human remains, they will actually return back to kennels, to the training center, PDSTC, for an additional training course, which is another 20 plus training days, so another month and a bit, where they will actually fine tune and hone those skill sets. So by the time the dog, there's a variable of age for the dog for the training, which would be from that 1.5 to 2 years. So by the time they graduate, that would be in around that 2 to 2.5 years. By the time they finish that secondary detection portion, human remains or explosives, they're going to add another 5 or 6 months on there because the window by the time we get the courses organized. So I don't know if that answers your question in regards to the age or the duration of the training courses.
It does. Is there a process in place to kind of monitor their, lack of a better term, success rate, or is that?
So every year they will go through recertification, validations. They also are responsible to train minimum 8 hours every block, every week. That's minimum. They will take part in various in-service training. And again, they're honing their skills continuously throughout the operational life of that team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charmaine.
I think I will add on to what Staff Pike was saying is specific to our human remains group. All of our handlers that are in that human remains detection group are all very, very experienced police dog handlers. They've been in the field. They've got a lot of service and a lot of time behind the dog. Only because a lot of the investigations that we get involved in could be very high profile. Lilly&Jack is a very good example, right? So we want to be able to have our most experienced handlers going to these investigations to assist as best as we can.
Thank you, Dave. Jen Tappan.
Hi there, Jen Tappan with the Chronicle Herald. Do you often work in the woods, heavy brush, like in the search area, which has been challenging for search and rescue personnel?
Yes, yes, most of our searches are in wooded areas, I would say, and they vary from. I was in Newfoundland 2 summers ago, and that was very, very thick. I imagine this is going to be very thick bush as well, from what I've been hearing from the local dog handlers. So, yes, we do very thick stuff.
Okay.
I believe.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I believe there was a stat I read a little while ago that the RCMP police 70% of the country landmass. So most of what the RCMP police will be your rural environments, because Ontario and Quebec, of course, it's only federal. But in regards to the rest of the country, they will do 70% of the landmass of Canada. So it's mostly a lot rural environments.
Okay, thank you. And how big of an area can you generally search in a day? And if I can also squeeze in the other dog team, where are they from? Is that Inspector Reddy?
Yeah, Inspector Reddy is he's our provincial E division, which is province of BC. He's our provincial. He's also been tasked with a whole bunch of other stuff, being an inspector now. As far as how much can we search in a day, a lot of that depends on where we're searching. So an example is we have a missing kid up in the Sea to Sky, which is up in Squamish area. And if you've ever been to BC and Squamish, there's a big gondola that takes you up the mountain and you can go hike around in the Alpine and everything like that. He's gone missing underneath this gondola. So the terrain in there is very vertical. It's very difficult for a dog and a human to go and search they're a considerable distance. Contrast that to a missing cattle rancher outside of Merritt. Merritt has rolling hills, but a lot of the searching was on very flat and very open ground, where in a course of, I think it was 4 days, I put on 54 kilometers, I think it was, of searching, where up in the sea, the sky, I was only able to do 5 kilometers in an entire day. So it just depends on terrain is a lot of it.
Thank you, Jen. And Steve Curry with Colchester Code 1.
Thanks. I think most of the questions have been asked. Jen, that was a question I was interested in as well, too, in terms of duration and how long it might take to actually do the search. I guess another question I have is, how effective are the dogs in a really strongly competing organic decomp areas, such as a sewage area? Is that something they can detect in?
Absolutely. We do through the training and or exposures that they do after the fact. There is some studies and whatnot. Human decomposition is unique to itself. They are, again, out of Trois Rivières. They've done a study there a couple of years ago that was published, and they were trying to compare certain animals to decomposition. So they are advancing the knowledge, the science base behind it, but the dogs, again, they are trained specifically for human remains. And as a handler or as a trainer, it's our responsibility to take outside sources of odor that they may be experiencing in an operational call, and what we call proof the dogs off that. So we would proof them off other human scents, other animals, other decomposition materials, food sources, anything that we can think of through our training. We present that in an environment where the dogs would smell and indicate, and part of their annual validations, we actually place other animal decomposition out, and the dogs have to ignore it, show no final response or indication that would, in a sense, fool the handler or have the handler believing otherwise.
Okay, thank you. That's right, go ahead.
I think I can give you 2 examples, I think, of what you're asking about. Is one, I was just in attendance at a Canadian police dog detection seminar here in the spring, where one of the Edmonton human remains handlers was here, and he told us a story of how he was doing a search, and the search eventually led to a septic field, where his dog was like, hey, there's something here, and I can't really find what was here. When they did a pump out of the actual septic tank, they found some of the bones and the hair that was still in the tank from all that biological process. But what has happened is that person was put into the septic tank. All the enzymes and biological processes happened in the septic tank. And when all this was flushed out into the septic field, there's a term called VOCs, volatile organic compounds. Those are what we believe our dogs are picking up on and detecting. Those were flushed out into the field. And that's what his dog was telling us, like, there's some VOCs here. Last summer, I was involved in the Saskatoon City Police search of their landfill for one of their homicide victims. And Staff Sergeant Pike was talking about a lot of the science hasn't caught up with what we're actually doing, and we would love to be able to do more. And it's always the question, like, how effective are the dogs in a landfill? Well, we don't know, but we can certainly try. So we were doing kind of our off the side of the table science while we were searching. We had 2 dogs there as well working. So we were doing our own training and our own figuring out how valid is it using a dog in this kind of environment. And it is possible for sure, as long as the VOCs are present for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. That concludes our question and answer period. Thank you, folks, very much for your questions. Guy, if you'd like to wrap things up.
Thank you, Ian. Andrew Sampson, I see you have your hand up. Did you have a chance to ask 2 questions earlier?
Yeah, I did.
You can ignore that. Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank everyone for attending today, especially our experts here, Staff Sergeant Pike. Thank you very much for coming
on air today to answer these questions with the media, and same with you, Sergeant Dave Whalen. Appreciate your time today and efforts in supporting us here in Nova Scotia. Thank you very much. This concludes our media availability for this afternoon. Merci beaucoup pour tout le monde. Passez une bonne fin de semaine.
Thank you.
All right, and that is that. I want to go back again to the other article that we had looked at. The new one that came out there for CTV News.
It has been nearly 5 months since 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan disappeared from their home in Pictou County, Nova Scotia. So for weeks, hundreds of trained search teams and RCMP investigators scoured the wooded area, searching for anything, any clue that would lead to conclusive evidence of the siblings' disappearance. Despite hundreds of tips, dozens of interviews, their disappearance remains unsolved, and a sense of unease currently hangs over the community. For more on where the investigation is right now, I'm joined by CTV public safety analyst Chris Lewis. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Lindsay.
So, Chris, I want to start by saying we did reach out to Nova Scotia's RCMP about this investigation.
He said 6 feet is what I remember him saying. Yeah.
This is what they told us, quote, the RCMP's investigation into Lilly&Jack Sullivan's disappearance is a very active, intensive investigation.
That's right.
We are continuing to engage every resource available to help locate Lily and Jack and determine the circumstances of their disappearance. So I want to ask you about that. What do we know about what police have gathered so far?
Well, there's a lot we don't know, and nor should we, given that when they're conducting a criminal investigation, they're not alerting the public to every piece of evidence they find, or different interviews they've conducted, or different suspects they might have, because that will hurt the investigation and ultimately potentially a trial at some point. But they have done a very extensive job. We all know they searched for days around the house where they went missing. They did subsequent searches. They searched other areas. They gathered, I believe, 8,000 different videotapes from area homes and businesses, trying to see if they could see the kids in them. There's been lots of interviews following hundreds of tips. They've conducted polygraph examinations. And just by their statement that this is still an intensive investigation, they're investigating something or someone, because it gets to the point where you may not have any more interviews to do and suddenly get a tip and you are. But the way they've described it, I would say they're not just coming into work every day and hoping to get a tip. They're investigating something.
When you say that you believe that they're investigating something or someone, what's the language that they're using that makes you think that?
It's just that the way they talk about it still being an intensive investigation. That tells me something. They're following up something.
So that's interesting, eh? What he's saying there. That's why I wanted to go back to it, because there's a couple of things he said there that I found interesting. So that being one of them. Yeah.
When you get the hundreds and hundreds of tips that they've received, there's a lot of work to that, because finding certain people at times is difficult, or some of the tips have resulted in them going to other places to search. All that requires a lot of people, and the RCMP will put a lot of people on this. And I don't think that's really changed. They're still actively working hard at something.
RCMP did announce on Friday that cadaver dogs will begin searching for the two children. Is this the first time that they've used cadaver dogs?
I haven't heard about cadaver dogs so far, but obviously if they're using cadaver dogs, they've got a certain area to search. I can't imagine they're just going to walk those dogs through, such an immense pile of landscape. So potentially that's a clue that they're narrowing it down to a certain area. We don't know what any of these tips are. Sometimes tips are, we saw so-and-so walking on a street in a different country, and you can quickly write those off. But other tips force you to go to a specific area or to certain people, or both. And let's hope that's the sort of information they're acting on now, and they're steering the cadaver dogs into a proper area to conduct a thorough search.
One of the tools they've used are the polygraph tests. Polygraph tests were done on all members of the family, we understand, including paternal grandparents, the child's biological father. What do we know about the results of those tests?
Well, and I was a polygraph examiner myself at one time, so I understand that process very well. And what they have said in some of the documents to obtain search warrants or different orders from the court, although redacted, they did talk of polygraph examinations. They did specifically, in some cases, people were proven to not be deceptive. So they believed them. And in other cases, it was redacted. And so there's a little confusion about that. And a redaction doesn't mean someone has been deceptive and is guilty of anything, but it certainly may be cause for more investigation into somebody.
Chris Lewis.
And that's the other thing, because I had stated that myself when talking about Janie. And again, like he said, it doesn't mean that anybody's guilty of doing anything, but certainly would want to look further. And another thing that caught my interest was, Janie said when you watched Daphne's video that I had talked about, where she kind of had a compilation of different things that Janie spoke of in the Facebook group, which I don't go on, but I watch what Daphne puts out. And she was asked about if she was asked to do a polygraph again. And I thought she stated she was asked, and that she said no, because it would just tell her the same thing. But somebody had actually asked her, if you were asked again to have a polygraph done, would she? And she stated no, because it would just tell them the same thing, because of her heart condition. But then when DT talked to her about it, she stated that she asked the RCMP to do another one, and that they told her no, because it'll just give the same result. So again, it's kind of confusing there. It's the kind of the same thing as Daniel, with different answers to the same question. So it doesn't look like they're going to be doing another one, but anyways, just thought that was
CTV public
interesting.
safety analyst, thanks for your time.
Anytime, Lindsay. Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning.
Yeah, so that's everything, guys. And I found that education session there that the RCMP officers did was interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to say a couple of days ago, Mariska. It was very, very recently, and the dogs, as we've just learned, are on Janie's property now, or were. Don't know if they still are. Yeah. Didn't court documents say that D&M were truthful in responding to 4 questions? Yep. Only 4. There were likely more than that. I don't know. Belynda had stated that Cody had 4 questions as well, but the other questions were not like they how did she put it? Not as important, but they more had to do with figuring out your system and how it reacts if you're telling a lie. So they asked certain questions, and then again asked them, but told them to lie to them this time, type thing. Yeah, which when Daniel was asked that question, he didn't really elaborate on that. He said they went right into the first question being about, did you, red brum the children, type thing. But we kind of figured that, he kind of skipped over the other stuff, and that they probably did do that, but that he just got right to the meat and potatoes of the questions. Yeah. Barbara, right. That's my understanding, Barbara. Yeah, which is probably because my understanding is that there were a couple of people asked. Now, if this is true or rumors or whatever, that were asked to complete more, and yeah, but they refused. Or I shouldn't even repeat that because honestly, I don't really have a whole lot of confirmation about all of that. But I think everyone in the public maybe saw it a lot. Maybe saw it a lot more questions would be asked than there were. Thought there would be. Yeah, exactly, right? Because of what you see on TV, right? You see them pounding the questions at them, and yeah, yeah. Barbara, I believe Belynda said that Cody answered 2020 altogether. I don't remember that. She said 4, and then some other questions that, like I just explained, right? It was to, figure out how your system acts, basically, to get a baseline. Hello, Linda. Thank you for popping in. Yeah, to get a baseline, exactly. The baseline, yeah. I think they asked if they had anything to do with the disappearance and also the unaliving of the children. Yeah, I believe Malaya was asked that. Malaya's pertain to those two things it states in the documents. Yeah. Answering 4 questions truthfully doesn't mean they only asked 4 questions. Yeah, well, I would agree. And that's why I asked Belynda, like, can you, ask Cody how many questions they asked him? And she did, and he said 4. And then 4 very important questions, and then other questions that weren't as important. And then she elaborated when she was on It's a Crime and Shame and said that the other questions were based on obtaining a baseline, right? To see how you react when you're lying. So I don't know what those questions were, right? Because I said it, you don't have to tell us what the questions are, but just give us an idea of how many questions. So maybe they were also pertaining to Jack and Lily. Don't know. Polar 1 document showed 4 questions. Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you, Novah. I love your show. Well, thank you for being here, Mary. You have a wonderful afternoon as well. Answer 4 questions truthfully. Yeah. It showed they were not deceptive. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it said truthful, that they answered them truthfully. Yeah. Or that they were truthful. The docs indicated that Cindy, Wade, and Cody passed. Yeah. According to DT show, the documents said they were basically cleared or not considered suspects. The evaluated phones, cell tower, bank accounts, etc., to reach that clearance. Yeah. Now, for me, I would have to. I have to hear that from the RCMP, and because RCMP conduct their investigations a lot different than how investigations are done in the US. They really do. They have some other methods that they, will use while all of this is being done. I have to hear that from them. And to hear evidence from them and what they're saying, because they did not outright say that. They said everything is still on the table and they're still investigating every avenue, is what they said. So, yeah. Daniel was not deceptive yet, found to be truthful yet. Also, they stated that they had no evidence that the kids were not alive. Well, yeah, what he said was, and I was gonna touch on that as well. So he used definitive is the word that he used. I wrote it down what he said. There's nothing definitive to show them whether they are or not, right? So I mean, basically they're trying to conclude. They're trying to conclude and reach a conclusion, right? To find out what happened to them. So I mean that means to find them, because as I said before, in many cases, you know, it's the body that's the evidence, right? And they need those kids to conclude whether, you know, that this was nefarious or not, or whether they're unalived or not. But you have to, you know, they said that, like, I have to me it's like a puzzle what they're saying, and you have to take pieces and put it together to figure it out, because they also said that they do not believe that the kids have been hidden anywhere. So they also said that. So when you put that together, so the children have not been hidden anywhere. They do not believe that to be true. Now, whether they're just saying that as part of their tactic to investigate, but I mean, it certainly doesn't seem like they would be, you know, putting the resources into cadaver dogs if they thought the kids were, you know, hidden somewhere. I can't see them going through all that. And as the gentleman, the expert just spoke there on CTV News, that something's leading them back to where they are with the cadaver dogs, right? And it wouldn't be that the kids are hidden unless they're hidden in the woods somewhere, right? So yeah, so you have to kind of piece their statements together. So they're saying they do not believe that the kids are hidden anywhere, alive and hidden, that they were taken and hidden anywhere. And then the second part of that, right, is that there's nothing definitive. So I get out of that, you know, it's the kids that are the evidence that will give them the conclusion as to what happened, right? Which is sad. Oh, yeah, it was you that's having computer issues, eh? Well, the good thing is that it's always there and you can come back and, yeah. I don't think they would ever say somebody was absolutely cleared. Exactly, and they haven't, right? They said everything is still on the table. They're looking at every avenue until the case, exactly, CB, until the case is solved and they actually have the children and they can be decisive on what actually took place with the children, right? Is exactly it. Otherwise, run the risk of being wrong publicly. Yeah. Yeah. And just, it's not the right thing to do when you don't know, right? They need, in order to be decisive, they need the children. And they've also said on top of that, they don't believe they were taken and hidden anywhere. So, CB, they can clear people even when the case is not solved. In some cases, but no, I don't think they can in this case, Mariska. Yeah. Like if they are alibied, etc. Yeah, exactly. In some cases, yeah, they will clear parents, then move on to family and strangers. Gotcha. They are trying to confuse YouTube. Yeah. They don't just use polygraphs. They use phones, car tracking devices, bank accounts, video cameras, etc. Yeah. I think, but a lot remember there's a lot of information in there that's been redacted regarding the tracking devices, bank info, and it's not for private reasons, right? It's due to the integrity of the investigation. And a lot of that information has been redacted, so we don't know what it said. I think they're just very careful with their wording. Oh, definitely, for sure. Yeah, they have to be. My puppy wanted to ride on the scooter. That's so cute. That's cute. Animals are cute. Goats like trampolines, you know. They love playing on trampolines because they naturally bounce. They love it. Praying for answers, praying the babies are found alive. Yes, yes, yes. Wouldn't that be a wonderful outcome? I just, I don't believe that's going to be the outcome, in my opinion, but my gosh, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Gosh, what a celebration there would be. Did they say whether they are going to extend the search further out? They won't know. They're not telling anybody where they're going, except that we know that the first place obviously they went was the MacKenzie property from what we're hearing. And they would have shown up with the warrant, I would assume. Yeah, my sexy man. What are you talking about, Hilts Taylor? Okay. Uh I think you're texting in the wrong chat there. Yeah. AI Henry. Did they say whether I already read that. Yeah. What the heck? AI, they will not say where. No, they're being very quiet about that. For their protection and the protection of the investigation. Randy McLean, yes, thank you. The cow wolves, is that a mixture of coyote and wolves, are starting to pack up. They have come one street from us, keeping our pup on the deck. Yeah. Did Darewood do a polygraph? Well, no, because, well, I mean, again, we don't know anything since mid-July, right? So we don't know what happened since then. We just know what's in those documents. And I guess if anybody was to tell us, I had a polygraph done, but outside of those documents, which is facts, right? Don't know. Yeah, I don't either, but never know, right? One never knows. Well, guys, I think I'm going to call it a day. I do have to go start making this supper. That's going to take a while to make. Thank you for being here. Thanks to everyone. Thanks for those who told us about videos to watch, the CTV News. Thanks to Shar for allowing us to share the information that she had gained. I will put her in the chat one more time. I heard that. Yeah. Thank you to my mods for being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Ginger. And Mark and Kimmer, who popped in the beginning there. So lots of love, guys. Lots of positive vibes. If you guys want to finish up your chat, thank you. Love you, Nova, all you're doing. Well, thank you. if you guys want to finish up your chats, if you're still chatting there, go ahead. I'm going to play some of the still missing and unsolved cases, okay, while we close out here, all right? So again, lots of love, lots of positive vibes. Take care, everyone. Bye.